All right, welcome back to the movie review podcast. I'm Brandon,
I'm Faizel.
and what are we reviewing today? I think we gave it away on the last one, but
We're doing the 2024 The Crow. Do you call it The Crow? The 2024 Crow movie? What do you call it?
I would just call it the Crow remake.
The Crow
That's
remake?
the
Okay.
I have some much worse ways I could describe it, but I'll just call it the Crow remake to be professional.
I gather you didn't like it.
No, I did not. I
Interesting.
won't say I hated everything about it. There are some good things we can get into, but
Okay, maybe
overall I
we
was
have a
disappointed.
similar because I'm pretty lukewarm about it. I don't hate it. I just, yeah, let's get into it. Let's the 2024 The Crow.
I will say that if the first Crow didn't exist, if this was a standalone movie, I would have thought better of it.
Fair enough.
But it
I can
also,
understand
I
that.
kind of consider it just like a slap in the face to Brandon Lee's legacy and to the legacy of the Crow.
That's what the director said, right? That's
Yeah.
that's what
Alex Proyas.
Yeah, and the girl who played the original Shelley also did said it wasn't really respectful to the legacy, which is I don't know. It's cool. That's fine. That's whatever. Have you seen the other Crow movies?
Yeah, they're not exactly great either. And honestly, this I think this one's probably even better than 3 and 4.
It has a much higher budget.
It just, yeah, it was just better made. But if the thing with the Crow is, and normally I don't have a problem with like a new person playing James Bond. A lot of the time, there's
Hmm.
certain things like that. If you have to replace, a different actor replace a character with a different actor,
Of
that's
course.
fine. But the thing is, Brandon Lee actually was killed playing this role. But the thing with the Crow is that there's an infinite number of crows you could have. The crap, what's his name? Eric Draven.
Eric
Why did you have to
Draven.
make him that? But not only that, you made him that character, but then you changed the entire story anyway. So if you're gonna change the whole story, why not just make it a new guy instead of just making it that specific character that this guy died portraying? Like it just seems like just such a bad move.
It is weird. It is like you could. It's stories like this that I'm so surprised there isn't like. I think they're trying to do it with the Predator, and like they're trying to build a franchise not based on the character. They're trying to like do. Have you seen there's a new Predator? Maybe we should review that
Yeah,
next
the
sometime.
animated one.
Yeah. But I like what they're doing. Why not do that with like Spawn, with The Crow? Like these franchises are made to be that modular. You can hop from here to here to here to here. You don't have to link them at all, ever.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing, yeah, like Spawn's a good example. Like it doesn't have to be Al Simmons, that he was just the one guy. So you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about like actors getting too old. You don't have to worry. It's just like, hey, here's a new
Each
guy as
one is
Spawn.
its own story, like the
Yeah.
comic books.
And it could always be modern. It's like you like here's Spawn in the Old West, and even 100 years from now, here's Spawn in the modern day. So it just naturally basically you could use it in any setting you want. Like the example used with the Predator, right? There's an infinite. Do a Predator on a pirate ship. Do a Predator during the Civil War. A Predator during Roman times. Like you could do an infinite number of things. So
The point
um,
is, the character isn't the story, it's how the character interacts with the world. That's the story. We
yeah,
know the story of the character by this point.
they even do that in like Freddy and Jason movies. Is like Jason's back, guy with a mask, but a whole new bunch of main characters, and they get killed
Yes.
off. So yeah, it just immediately, just the fact that it was being made, and you could tell as soon as they announced that movie, like all the Crow fans were kind of not pleased to say the least. I think everyone went into it knowing this is going to be a piece of shit, and it's just a thing that should never have been made, I think.
Well, you know what? I'm going to like I didn't actually go into it knowing it was going to be a piece of shit. Because okay, so I mean, obviously, the first time I really sat down to try and watch it was when you and I decided we were going to do it for the podcast. Before that, zero interest in seeing it. But I did do some research on it as I was watching it, and from what I understand, so it's been in development since 2006. Like they've been planning a remake, and like the names they've had attached to it over the years are very. It made me very interested because at one point Nick Cave wrote a treatment for the script, and he was going to do the script, like he was going to do the thing, and then went through more rewrites, and I guess Nick Cave's version isn't in there anymore, but that's fine. Have you ever heard Nick Cave's version of The Gladiator?
No.
So it's fucking awesome. You know Nick Cave
Hmm.
and the bad seeds. So he unprompted, I think, wrote a spec script for Gladiator 2, and the idea is that Russell Crowe is resurrected by the gods, and then he just fights through all the different wars throughout history, like war after war after war. The whole script is floating out there for you to read, but he's apparently a very good scriptwriter.
Yeah.
Um, so he started working on The Crow, and what came out now isn't exactly everything that was in The Crow, but that's whatever. And they've just been developing and developing and developing it. I think at one point, Obar is the name of the original comic book
Yeah.
writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he. There was an interview with him that I read, and it was like, the way I see it is like there's Dracula the book, then there's Dracula the Bela Lugosi movie, and then there's Dracula the Francis Ford Coppola movie. They're very different things, and it's just, but they draw off of the same source material. And like that's how you should approach this movie. It's not the same as the Brandon Lee one. It's like if you made a John Woo movie from The Crow. So that's what I went into it expecting is like a gothic John Woo movie. And it kind of delivered that. Like there's a lot of gunplay. Um, it tries very hard to be gothic cool, but I guess what's more gothic than trying to be hard to be gothic? Um, the end sequence is pretty cool, like the sequence where he's killing everybody. That's very John Woo. Uh, I maybe while we're talking about it, it'll come to me. But like, I was watching this movie, being like, it seems like this should be a good movie, but like, it doesn't feel like I'm interested in it.
Yeah. It's almost like if you just describe the plot to someone, like it's like, oh, that actually sounds kind of good, and there is kind of good. Like it looks kind of good, and
It
it
looks
just
cool. The
somehow it
art
just
direction
misses.
is amazing.
It just missed the mark. And like, yeah, that big action scene was pretty cool. Like, if I ever watch it again, I'll probably just skip that part and just watch that big fight scene again because it was really awesome. But even then, like, it seemed like there was some pretty big action parts in the first Crow movie, the '93 one. This one, it felt a little John Wick. It just seemed like they took John Wick and made him the Crow instead, and it was the same kind of thing, which is not necessarily bad. It's
No,
just,
no.
but it was that part was cool. But the main flaw I hate with the movie is like the first Crow, it got into it quickly. There was like the opening scene, and there's a little bit with the kid, and then the next scene was like him rising out of his grave. It got right into it. He was immediately the Crow. In this one, I think it was about an hour into it before he actually became the Crow. There was
I
this
thought
whole first act of setup. Then he came back from the dead, but he wasn't the Crow yet. He was just like a resurrected guy. Then he got killed again, and then got resurrected as the Crow with his powers. Like they just wasted so much time with all this setup and they showed like him and his wife or his like girlfriend or whatever it was.
mhm.
They spent so much time explaining that relationship when they didn't need to. In the original, you never even saw Shelley except in a few flashbacks. She was in it for maybe 45 seconds, and even in that, you got the impression like, hey, these people are in love. But it's like I get it. Like I get it's like yeah, you have a wife or a girlfriend, you love that person, you'd be mad if they were killed. I think people understand that. You don't need to have this whole like third of the movie explaining all this setup that's going to make you feel more emotion when they're killed because it absolutely didn't work.
I thought it was pretty hilarious that like, yeah, did that rich person's house that they broke into ever come back into play? Like it was only for them to steal cool clothes and look cool through the rest of the movie. Like I feel like that was the only reason they broke into the rich person's house. And like there's a lot of that it feels like this thing only happened so that they could look cool or like we could change scenario.
Yeah, there's just a lot of scenes of them partying and going to clubs and doing drugs and it's like okay like is this really how you imagine two people that are like in love? Like I'm supposed to have sympathy for them. They just seem like two criminal dirtbags that met like in a jail and it's like I'm supposed to just feel this like love between them and
I think that's part of it is like they didn't I don't know. I don't know if the original one did spend this amount of time, but like I felt like there wasn't a world that they built. We just kind of jumped into these two people's story and like we like I don't know, like I don't I'm not I'm trying to think if the original one necessarily built a world that I could care about before like putting me into it. It kind of did, actually, now that I think about it. Like with the narration that opens the movie, and then you're talking about this city, and you see how nasty this city is and stuff. Whereas in this movie, it's mostly interiors.
Yeah, this one it seemed more like they're trying to go for the goth thing, but it just seemed more like a normal city. The
Yeah,
original one was definitely like an alternate universe Detroit. Like it had its own look to it.
but even then, like it just yeah, it didn't feel like there was anything I could care about. Like there weren't characters around that like all I can come to right now at the conclusion is like, yeah, there wasn't enough world being built around it. Like, I didn't care about these people or the city or the story. Like, we just went from scene to scene to scene.
Which is funny because like in the new one, they spent a lot more time developing the characters and all this stuff, and it ended up just not working. I think because like in the original, you could develop characters through action. I always use the example of Saving Private Ryan, where they don't have a scene opening the movie where they show all the main characters like in their before they go to the war.
Hmm.
They just open in a war. It's just like they're already fighting. You don't really know anything. You don't even know their last names for the most part. You just see them doing stuff, and you kind of pick up on their characters throughout the movie, and it wins Best Picture, and it's an excellent movie. Crow,
Well,
the
that
first Crow did that too. You just see him. He comes back from the dead, and you kind of learn about him as you go, and you start to care for him. In the new one, they just stop the movie basically to spend like 40 minutes explaining these characters to try to get you to care about him, but it's like it just didn't work.
that brings me to two things that I can think about is like so I think the first movie did spend a lot more time building the world that we live in and like in like slow like not explaining the characters but doing exactly what you said. Like we're in this thing but like everybody in this world is involved in this world and like you don't need exposition. You just learn about the world as it happens. Whereas with this one I think they were just assuming, I just don't know where they fell short of the mark. I think they were just assuming that we already knew what was happening or that it was too normal of a city. But like, yeah, there was too much expository like stuff. And like I always say, if it's a good movie, you like people don't say I'm a dead warrior who's come back from the dead to like people do the thing and then you watch and you learn as they interact with different people. The guy who tells the crow about his powers. I did not like that part at all of this movie. I was
Hmm.
just like I liked it so much better when it was a little girl's narration and the rest of it was the crow. It was like so much more mysterious than just having some guy tell you what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, they even cut that because in the original they had the Skull Cowboy character played
Yes.
by Mike Berryman that they ended up cutting that out. Probably for that reason. It's like I think people will understand this without having an expository character. And then in the new one, they're just like, hey, let's put that in there. And it's like,
And
it
it's
just
so generic. Like a lot of it is so generic cool. Like it's like he's got tattoos and the guy who's gonna guide him is like some sort of vaguely Middle Eastern guy and he's got a long coat on. And like there's a lot of that that's happening. It feels so
yeah.
generic. Like they just kind of bought a pack of like characters and just fit the story to whatever was in the pack of characters they bought.
What did you think about Bill Skarsgård? Is that his name? The guy who played the Crow?
He's fine. I don't know how much acting is required in this film. Like he spends a lot of his time with his shirt off. That's the main part of this is like him being shirtless for most of the thing. I like him in Barbarian. Like I've seen him in other projects, and like I think he's a good actor. I don't know if this is necessarily the movie that shows off his acting skills.
Yeah, I agree. Like I like him as an actor. It's just this one that I just didn't like in the first Crow movie. You could tell Brandon Lee like was you could tell he was a tough guy. Like he knew martial arts. He was well built. You could tell like he's a tough guy that could fight. But he was a very friendly, kind of normal, cool guy. Like he seems like a
Yeah,
cool guy. In
he
this
was a
new one,
character.
the new guy seems kind of like a little emo bitch, for lack of a better word. Like he just seems like a guy that you would not want to hang out with. Like he's not
Well, there's
likable.
nothing to him. Like there's even though we spend a 2 hour ride with him, and like granted, when he becomes the crow, he's kind of akin to a zombie. So maybe there's not supposed to be anything to him. But like before that, all I know is that he's sad and he writes poetry that could be music. Whereas with Brandon Lee, even though we spent so little time with him up to the point where he becomes the Crow, his personality still in that writing shines through so hard. Like he's not just sad and writes music. He's sad and writes music and he takes care of this kid and he's happy and he's jokey and like maybe a little cringy, but people are cringy, so whatever. Like I don't know. They use their time so much more effectively in the original Crow than they do in this Crow. They spend a lot of time like being like he's sad and cool.
Going back to the Shelley relationship, like in the first Crow, you don't know how long they've been together, but they're married, so presumably they've probably been dating for a long time. In the new one, it's like how long does the movie take place? Like they meet each other in the movie, so they've been dating for what, 2 weeks or something? Like it's like how in love are they? It doesn't really. Maybe it's a bit longer. It doesn't say, but it's like it's not like they've been together. They should have met like they've been dating for
He
five
should have
years
been in
before
the
the movie
middle of
began.
their thing or something.
But it's like we see them meet. It just seems like it's barely more than a casual hookup for them, right? It's like they meet in this jail, this like place for drug addicts, and then they hang out and get high together and party. And we're supposed to believe that, oh, they're so in love. Like, really? I just don't
But even
buy
then,
it.
you could like, yeah, I just feel like I like FKA Twigs as a musician. She's pretty good. As an actress, I've never seen her in anything besides this. Whatever. Yeah, I don't care about either of these people. Like,
Mhm.
even if you wanted to make them drug addicts who like bust out of a thing and like, um, I'm trying to think of the movie with Woody Harrelson where he plays a serial killer.
Oh, the Natural Born Killers.
Similar-ish setup to the first little bit where they break out and they're like going on a little bit of a terrorizing spree. But like you care about one set of characters and you don't care about another set of characters. I just don't. Nothing was put into the script, I feel like, in terms of these characters. Yeah, I don't know. The setups seem cool. To me, as I'm watching the movie, as we're discussing the movie, the setups seem cool. Like you said, if you told me about this movie and I hadn't seen it, cool. They escape from like a mental health facility and then they go on a drug binge and then they like mess with the wrong people and then one of them dies and the other one comes back from the dead and uses a gun to like kill everyone and there's cool action sequences. Sounds awesome. And then I watch it, I'm like, I don't care. But you know, I looked up the writers and the directors of this. Um, have you seen the writer was the guy who wrote The Order? Have you seen The Order?
No.
Uh, it's supposed again, it sounds like it'd be a cool movie. A group of neo-Nazis in the 80s are like trying to raise money for the cause, and they do that by robbing banks. And there's a cop who's trying to catch the neo-Nazis and stop the banks, and like the whole it dives into the whole this is a true story. This is something that happened. And I watched the movie being like, yes, we're gonna dive into like neo-Nazi networks and we're gonna like it's gonna be a wild ride. And I fell asleep halfway through it. It was so boring. There was nothing there. Um, so I just don't. It feels like this writer just likes writing cool setups and then doesn't follow through.
Man, how does he keep getting work?
Oh man! So I looked at both the writer and the director. So the director has only made three movies in his entire up to this point: 2012, 2013, 2024. From what but he's made some music videos and he's made some TV shows, episodes of TV shows. From what I understand, he was the protege of the guy who directed American History X,
Oh, okay.
who then took his name off the movie and like his whole career kind of went derailed a little bit. He was the protege of that guy, and he made three movies. Do you want to take a wild swing at the two movies he made? I'll give
I
you hints if you want.
don't think I could guess. Let's hear him.
Okay, I'll tell you this much: he has a history for ruining franchises, I guess. But
Uh-oh.
like, so he made in 2012 his first movie was Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, okay.
You remember that one?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, did you like it? What did you think of
I
it?
thought it was actually not bad. I was expecting it to be shit, and it was not. But I wouldn't call it great. I'd say that.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll watch it based on that recommendation. So he made Snow White and the Huntsman, and then he directed that terrible live action Ghost in Shell remake.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one, but
Scarlett Johansson plays a Japanese lady. Weird.
okay.
But also, weirdly enough, he directed a music video for like a Nine Inch Nails side project called How to Destroy Angels. Like those are his big credits. Is
No.
these three movies, a music video for a Nine Inch Nails side project, and a music video for a boy band from Britain called Five.
Hmm. And I guess like I mean you could be an inexperienced director. There's a lot of directors whose first
Of
big movie
course,
is good. Um, it's I
not
think there's
this
a
one.
lot of other factors at play, just based on the fact that these guys suck. I mean, maybe that's part of it, but
But it also has been through so many hands from what I was reading. Like it started in 2008 and they've just had different directors come through. At one point they had Bradley Cooper was going to play the Crow. Luke Evans was going to play the Crow and Jason Momoa was going to play the Crow. So that tells
uh,
you how long this thing has been in development based on like which actors they picked. Like Bradley Cooper would have been the Hangover when he was still hot from that. I don't know why Luke Evans, of all people, he just kind of always is there. And then Jason Momoa, when he started to get hot from the Game of Thrones era, I bet you that's when they were like, we could do this again.
yeah, yeah, it's one of those things. It seems like there's those movies that have been in some sort of development hell for like decades and they finally make them. They never quite turn out. It's just like something's wrong with them. It just seems like if an idea is good and fresh to go, like it should just happen more quickly.
Yes.
It's fine if you need to like, it takes years to like raise money for a film, that kind of thing. But if it's like some of the Freddy movies, right? Like they go through so many iterations and they throw the script out and start again, and then it doesn't quite work. I think it just means there's some sort of problem. It just seems like with something like The Crow, if you just hire a competent writer, just write a cool script, like what's the problem? Like, it's like you're telling me there's not a single writer in the world that could make a good Crow movie in like almost like 20 years. Like,
I think yeah, I think I don't know if they're necessarily trying to write a good movie, but, and maybe I'm just being too down on them, but like, I think they're trying to write a movie that looks cool and lives up to the legacy of The Crow more than they're trying to make a good movie.
yeah, that's very possible. I guess another gripe I have with the movie is with the villains. Like the in the first movie, those villains were
Agreed.
probably some of my favorite villains in any movie. Like they were just all had their own character.
Well, they
They
were
were very cool.
villains. They were like comic book villains. They had like a little bit of personality to them.
Yeah, like in the honestly, I can't even remember other than the main guy in the new one. I can't remember a single bad guy. Like they were just all like
Generic bad
disposable
henchmen.
henchmen, and even the head bad guy. They went too metaphysical with it. Like in the original, it was yeah the fact that the Brandon Lee came back from the dead to get revenge. Obviously, that's metaphysical, but that was it. Everything else was kind of the real world. In the
Mhm.
new one, all of a sudden, the guy works for the devil,
Oh
and they're
yeah,
stealing
yeah.
souls, and it's like, whoa, this is going way too far.
I feel like it would I like the stealing souls part was my favorite part just because I was like, oh, like there's something else to keep me interested in this film besides like he has a pact with the devil. Like I didn't mind that part so much, but it also didn't have like the best payoff. It
Yeah,
would
I
have
could
been
see.
nicer if everything else had a tinge of supernatural. If it's just like the one bad guy and then the crow who have the tinge of the supernatural, and everything else is just straight like regular sobers. I don't. Eh.
Yeah, I think it might have even been Brandon Lee himself. I saw an interview where I can't remember if it was him. I might be wrong. It might be in someone else, but where he basically said that like in a movie like that, like there should be where you're dealing with the supernatural, there should just be like the one thing. The one thing is like Brandon Lee comes back, or say like the movie Liar Liar. It's a little bit of magic where he cannot lie, but you can't also have it that also people can read minds and they can also fly, and it's like okay, well now it's getting too crazy. Just have like the one thing, and in this new movie, it's like okay, a guy came back from the dead for revenge. But also, the head bad guy is also has a pact with the devil, and he can steal souls, and it's like whoa. And it
Do you
also
know?
like it seems like if you could steal souls, it means that people could come back from the dead. So really, there's a chance that Shelley could come back, which makes the whole like it used to be like it was only the crow could come back for revenge for a very brief time to get revenge,
Mhm.
and then he goes back to being dead. It just makes it seem like there's the stakes are lower.
it does. I still keep going back to because of like I how bad the writing is. Because the Constantine movie, the one with Keanu
Yeah,
Reeves,
yeah.
similar vibe in like there's a supernatural world and then there's a regular world and sometimes they interact and there's criminals that can interact with both sides and stuff. But like they wrote it better in Constantine. I haven't watched that movie in a minute, so I can't tell you why they wrote it better. But like I don't know. Yeah, this movie just wasn't. The more I think about it, like I came in kind of lukewarm, and now I'm sitting at it being like, I just watched a catalog book for 2 hours, basically,
Yeah,
like
it was
a
just
fashion
so
catalog book.
I was hoping, like going into it, like I had heard, like of course I just like as a big fan of The Crow, I and a lot of people are, so I heard all of that negativity. I
Yeah.
was hoping that maybe it's just the people being negative because they don't like the fact that this movie even exists. Maybe they
Well,
didn't give it a
and I
chance.
mean, I watched the sequels, so I was ready to like be like, okay, well, some people just don't like you said, they just don't like the fact that this exists, and like they're just gonna complain regardless. And like, there's a lot of critics that do that. So I have the same mindset as you, is like, maybe I'll like this.
Yeah, like the thing is with the original, I've seen it like dozens of times. I'll probably watch it again. Like it's one of those ones like Predator or something where I just throw on every once in a while because I like it so much. This new one, I was gonna watch it again before we did this podcast, but I was like, you know what? Like I don't even want to have to sit through it again like as a refresher. It just like I just don't. It would have been painfully boring to sit through again because like I've seen it. Like I might watch that big fight sequence at the like the opera or the theater or whatever that was. Like that was
Yeah,
a cool part.
that was pretty cool.
And there were some like some parts with just the gunfights and stuff that were like, okay, those are kind of cool, but
Anytime you do a John Woo like choreographed gunfight, I like it. I'm into it. I'm down.
you got to give some credit there, but it's just like everything else around it. Like in the original, I loved every scene, and I liked in the original they had the Ernie Hudson cop who was kind of like the normal
Yes.
everyman. He was just the kind of person that like grounded the whole movie. And in the new one, they didn't really have that. There was no like good characters that you liked. Like, there was no like good
That
guy
stuck
kind of thing.
around. And like I wish they would go back. I wish writers who write these kinds of movies that are based on comic book franchises that have been going on for decades, I wish they would go back through the archives of these comics and pull in characters. Like there's all sorts of fun characters that you could did you ever see the Punisher movie Warzone?
Oh yeah,
Part of the reason I like that movie is because they got the guy who plays Newman and brought him in as Microchip,
yeah.
which is a fun character from the comic books. Like, go and find these fun characters and pull them in and make them part of your movie. It fleshes out the movie, and you have a character that has so much identity already. You barely have to do any writing; just put them in there.
Yeah, I like Warzone. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was really good. And they brought in some other villains. They brought
Yes,
some from like the early 90s comics, but they also brought in some stuff from the more modern comics. So yeah, like the Crow, there is a whole lot of Crow comics out there. They did have options, or they could have come up with completely, well, I guess they did kind of come up with new ones, but it was so plain. I even wrote when I was like probably 15 or 16, I wrote my own Crow script and it was pretty bad. But it
hey,
was because
listen.
I remember the only thing I can remember about is I had one of the bad guys had a glass eye with a dollar symbol on it.
But see, that's cool.
I've always intended one day I'll just put that in a movie because that one element is cool. I can't remember the rest of it, but the thing is, like, you can come up with an infinite number of new scenarios, and it just seems like this one was wasted. And there was so much non-Crow stuff in the movie. In the first movie, it was right off the bat. It started. You see the bad guys doing their bad guy stuff. That's cool. And you see the Crow becoming putting the makeup on and all that stuff. In this new one, there was just endless scenes of wasted time where it's like nothing
Yeah.
cool's happened and they're building character, building the story, or they thought they were, but it didn't work.
I think they were trying to capture a little bit of the magic of the first Crow had with the soundtrack too, because they had a lot. A part of that space is for the soundtrack to play, and like the song, like they have like Joy Division on there, and they got the Veils, but like also doesn't work. I feel like the soundtrack in the original they used it so effectively, whereas in this one it's just us the background for debauchery.
Yeah, I think in the original, I think they had cool musical taste and it just worked. In the
Yes,
new one, I think they knew like, hey, we're big fans of the soundtrack for the old one and we like that music, so let's try
Let's
to
really try
emulate
to do
that.
it.
And it's like as soon as you're trying to do it, it doesn't. It's like trying to be cool. It's like it doesn't work as
Yes.
well as just trying something and it ends up being cool. As soon as you're trying to replicate it, then it just doesn't work.
But I think that's the difference is like, are you a genuine, and I don't know these people, so I can't really say, but are you a fan of the thing and you're just coming at it as nerdy as you can be just because you're a fan of the thing or you're a fan of the genre or you're a fan of whatever? Or are you coming at it because you've been hired by a studio to make something that lives up to the original product?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know if either of those is necessarily better. Like you would think that if a person's a fan of it and they care about it, they would make it better. But there's been instances where that has not worked. We've even seen, like Ridley Scott and Shane Black from The Predator, like people that are big fans of it, completely make bullshit movies based on it. So even that, it doesn't necessarily work. I think if you're just a competent person, even if you've never seen a Crow movie or a Predator movie, you can sit down, watch them, and like, okay, I've been hired to make one. If you're a competent person and a good storyteller, you could make something good.
Well, I mean, the guy who tried to make Dune before David Lynch made Dune famously was like, I never read the book, never really cared about the book. I'm going to make a version of Dune that I think is imbued with the things I think are cool. And then that movie resonates through the decades, even though it was never made, people still reference it all the time. Um, yeah, it's just how much of yourself are you bringing to the script and the things that you like, and like rather than trying to please as an entity, how much of it is just you being like that's what I think that Alex Proyas and like the original did was just like fuck it, we're just gonna try and like make a movie that's cool to us, not that's
Yeah.
cool to studio heads.
Yeah, the new one, the new one, it just reeks of like studio involvement. Like it just seems like they did some sort of like poll to figure out all the coolest stuff in there. And then it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
it's
It's
got to have
very
this. It's got to have, so it's like it's kind of like your dad trying to be goth, where it's like I'm
it's
going to look
very
at what the
movie
people
by
wear. I'm
committee.
going to copy that. But it's like, no, it's just going to be bad. Just don't do it. Like,
Just try something different. What do you think is cool?
yeah.
It's very movie by committee. I agree.
Yeah, and it ended up like even when like he goes to visit the Guardian character, whatever that guy was, and he's in that
Yeah.
like hell world or that like that in between world, and it's like what it just looked like it's like an abandoned mall or something. Like it just nothing has any. At least in Constantine, like they tried to make hell look cool. It's just like
They tried to make it look different rather than just an abandoned subway station. And even
yeah,
then, an abandoned subway station can be cool. Yeah, I just don't know. Something about this movie, it feels very. It's that quote from my cousin Vinny. Like, it looks like a brick. It has the right dimensions of a brick, but when you look at it from a certain angle, there's nothing there.
yeah. It's basically they just tried to copy something that was much better, and it just didn't work. I really hope it puts the Crow to rest forever, or at least a very long time.
But I hope, rather than that, we get a resurgence of the Crow found fan films, and we get like a little bit of a repositioning of the character. I hope someone like makes a Wild West Crow. That's what I'm hoping.
There's a comic book
I know, yeah.
based on the Wild West. Like there's a bunch of cool comics, and yeah, I hope there's more like just like yeah, if they could keep making it in comic book form, because it seems like that's how it started, and it seems like they have a better grasp of the material there. Then it's like, hey, I can live with that.
Whoever is controlling the Predator franchise right now, I hope they start controlling the Crow franchise. That's all.
So what would you give it on a scale of
Five.
1 to 10?
A solid five.
5?
It's not good. It's not bad. I didn't really care. I saw it. I'm not mad that I saw it. It's here.
I'd give it a 4. I'd give it like yeah, it could have been. It almost seems like if someone could just go in and take the existing footage and re-edit it, they could probably make a little bit better of a movie out
They
of it.
probably could.
It's like it wasn't like it was just
Cut it
poorly
shorter. It doesn't
directed
need
or
to be an
anything.
hour 50. It can be an hour 20.
Yeah, like, you could probably I would cut basically the entire like first third of the movie out. Like just get right into the story. And even just all the stuff with Shelley and the gang members of those guys that she pisses off. Even all that, there's too much detail. It's just like, hey, these guys want to kill her because she was a witness. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You don't need to like explain 15 minutes worth of
The
bullshit.
original, they were killed because they were not paying the rent or something or protesting the rent.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. The first one, honestly, in the first Crow, that was, if you think about it, it was a pretty dumb reason for the whole
Kill
but it doesn't
someone.
matter because it was just shown in a flashback. Like, yeah, they were pissing off their landlord, whatever. Bad things happen. Then get into the story. They didn't go into detail of all this landlord disputes
They
because that
were.
would have just been boring. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.